Mystery box number 2. Mystery box 2. Me, 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 me. Here he is. Hey. Yo, Adrian. I got the belt. This is a fancy box. Look at this thing. I don't want to take the whole thing out because it's tatty, but look at that. Looks like it's, there's usually a plastic whatever in here. It's missing to hold the tape better. Let's see. There's the tape. I don't think this was a rental. Not seeing any signs of it. Give it a sniff. Not smelling any mold. Let's see, that's pretty good. You know Rocky. You know Rocky 3. That gonna go in there? Come on, baby. Look at him. Hey, come watch my movie, Mr. T. The one that put Mr. T on the map, yeah? Then he got all kinds of stuff. A-Team, and that's it. Mr. T cartoon, Saturday morning. You know the game. Now you know my name. Here's a sad, loose one. Doesn't even have a box. It's written all over in marker here. I don't know what that says. Sometimes when I look back at these tapes to check them for quality control, then I can read this stuff. That's nice. Dolby surround sound. What would this have been? 85? 86? Something like that? That beat. And this thing is just floating around loose. I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got a couple of loose ones I just stick on the shelf. They kind of all sit together into some kind of weird limbo. 9.5 weeks. You know about that? You know Mickey Rourke? You know Kim Basinger? Well, this is the one they're in. And they love the refrigerator and they love fruit. Here's one I'd never heard of. Still of the Night. Roy Scheider. 70s, 80s. This guy's on top of the world. Meryl Streep, she's still around. Hanging around. I think Mamma Mia 2. Whatever. I think I saw the daughter in a movie. Could have been. Although her name ain't Streep, it's like Marlstep or something. This is another fancy box. Check this out. Open it goes. Somebody didn't rewind. Oh, you think this was a rental? Nothing on the sides, nothing here. I don't think it was a rental. Plus, if you bought this at home, you didn't rewind, you wouldn't get charged that fee. So I'm thinking that has to have been someone's private collection. What is this movie about? Let's see, 1982. What happens when a man finds himself falling in love with a woman he fears or is bored by? I added that. Dr. Sam Rice. Better be careful there, bro. His infatuation with the mysterious Brooke Reynolds. Ooh, you hear these names? You don't hear names like this anymore. Could lead to murder? All right, I'm in. I'll watch that. Meryl Streep's getting murdered on film. I'll watch that. Another fancy box. Here's another. This might be the fancy box episode. There's a lot of fancy boxes here. There you go. Jack Lemmon, Walter Matthau. Now, you know that they're, what's the roommate movie they were in? Odd Couple. I think they did more than one of the Odd Couple. Now they're doing, I think they did Grumpy Your Old Men or Grumpy Man later. But here they are in Buddy Buddy. I mean, this was the pairing, wasn't it? These guys rode this comedy team all the way into oblivion. I like Walter Matthau. Jack Lemmon, he's all right. Number 22226. Now, does that mean rental? Or is that just because it's so old they did shit like that? Look at this page right here. Look at that. That is nice. Walter Matthau is, I can't read that. Trubacooch. Celia Kootman. I can't even try. That's a little messed up there. Number 2206. Are these so old and rare that that's how they did their system when they made these out of the whatever? There's a number there. Anybody knows what that means? Tape looks in pretty good shape. Again, not rewound. Thinking the same owner. And here's what I was talking about with Rocky 3. It was supposed to be this little insert right here. Plastic insert. And that one went missing. You know what I should do is cannibalize a lesser movie. And put that one in there. Let's see what this is about here. Light, breezy, and appealing. Well, okay, so you read that, right? And it's like you have to go see this movie. Light, breezy, and appealing? Look, that's the main word right there, appealing. That means it's going to appeal to you. An irresistible farce. You know, I might watch this. Look at this guy here. How do you see that and then not want to watch this? Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau are at it again. The wacky, hilarious, mismatched, Oscar-winning odd couple. Oh, there, I like to ring that bell. Have yet another go at each other. Do you think that could have been written better? In Buddy Buddy, the film which proves once and for all that murder and mayhem can be... Why do they change those words like that? Uproariously funny. Okay, we're going to go with the double word thing, huh? With famed comedy director Billy Watts. Sorry for my read. I just can't see it. Some Like It Hot, The Apartment. Okay, so ringing that bell. Overseeing the zany proceedings. Here is a story guaranteed to keep you laughing as it leaps from one comic misadventure to the next. As jive as this write-up is, they are tickling my ass with a feather on this. I do want to see this now. So, you win, ad guy. You got me. Buddy Buddy. Get it? I'm going to try that. Here's one I never heard of. John Voight, Table for Five. These fancy boxes are so big, I gotta go. All right, so what am I seeing here? Listen, I'm no fool. I think that's Egypt. And Table for Five, this guy doesn't look Egyptian. Neither does this kid or this kid. So what could Table for Five mean? I get the thoughts maybe these are, what do you call it when kids don't have a home, or orphans. That's what I'm thinking here. And this guy's like, well, I'm glad I got saved from being an orphan, but what's with this guy and this haircut? Is this really what we're going to do? So we'll see. Fancy box, we'll open it up. Woo! Table for Five. Again, not rewound. This is some bastard who owned this thing. There you go. It's kind of a nice little setup, right? It's got a little nooch right here, so you can pull that out of there. And I see no signs that this was a rental. I don't see any mold. Give it a sniff. I don't smell any mold. All right, we got a wiener. And let's see the back. I'll show the whole thing, and then we'll get it to where I can read it somewhat. Okay. Share the laughter and tears on a voyage of discovery. Oh, uh-oh. Turning me off already. 1982? He had that haircut in 1982? When a divorced father tries to reconcile with his 3 children, all right, He gets more than he bargained for in Table for Five. Wasn't there a show, Table for Five? Pacey and somebody else? He gets more than he bargained for in Party for Five. A heartwarming tale of love and commitment. Okay. John Voight stars as J.P. Tannen. Oh, listen to that name. You just don't hear that anymore. J.P. Tannen. A flaky, immature golf pro father who, out of his sense of failure and confusion, has run from his parental responsibilities for 4 years. Deciding that it is time he changed, JP attempts to make a comeback into his children's lives by taking them on a magnificent summer cruise. All right, so he's dragging the kids along. Am I going to watch that? I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know that that's grabbing me, though. Oh, here we go. Now, here's one of those situations where they couldn't fit the movie on the tape, so you get a double. Here is Patton. George C. Scott as Patton. Look at this. Bung. Another one. 2 Pattons? Pattons? Well, how am I going to do this? I think I'll put that back over here. Just don't have enough room. Open up the permafrost there. Out it comes. Didn't rewind again. No sign of this being a rental. And this sticker is not long for this world. I can tell at some point that's going to need a repair. It's definitely going to need a rewind. And was that part 1 or part 2? Come here, you. I don't know why you. Oh, all right, forget it. Doesn't want to open. I'm not going to rip this artifact up. Here we are again with the next one. Pop this out. That says Patton Part 2. So the other one was 1. There. Box. You're beaten. I have a brain. Boxes don't have boxers don't have brains. Spectacular World War II adventures of an aggressive U.S. general. I've only seen bits of this film, but I'm sure you've heard of it, right? Who hasn't heard it or seen a clip or whatever? I'll check that out. Winner of 7 Academy Awards. All right, sounds good. I'll give that a try. But that is a double. Now, what was the retail cost of this? Because you had to have 2 boxes and 2 tapes. And how much did it cost them to make this? Was this thing $100? Where can you find what these prices were? Because this is pretty old, right? What is see if there's a manufacture date on here. It was made in Michigan. 1982, I think that says 20th Century Fox. And I know that movie is not 1982. No, that one says 1969. Oh, scandalous. So the movie must be 69, and when they printed this set out, it must have been, that says 80 or 82. So what did a double Betamax Patton? I mean, they didn't cheap out on this box, too. These things are kind of intricate. All of these things have like overlapping folds and stuff. Someone had to sit there and hand put this together. I don't know. Patton, what can I tell you, right? Oh, here we go. Look at that. Porkies. Huh? Everybody seen that? You understand what that's referencing? Because I do. Whoops. Melvin Simon. Kiki Hunter. Alex Carr. Isn't that the football guy? Susan Clark is Cherry Forever. Okay. So you understand what you're getting into here? Oh. Come on, Porky. Don't you dare disintegrate on me. There we go. Didn't rewind. Got to be the same guy, right? Ooh, boy, this thing is not light as a feather, but definitely stiff as a board. Come on, you. It gives just enough give to not let you get the tape out. That's probably why this is all beat up, because that thing won't open. That's going to need a intervention. Not rewound. Porkies. I've seen Porkies. It wasn't that long ago that I saw this. I don't understand why this is such a beloved movie. If you're going to put this up sort of in that same family as Revenge of the Nerds, I'd rather watch Nerds. This has a weird sensibility. Any of those movies that they made around this time that are sort of referencing the past, like the early 60s or late 50s, they all have the same weird feel, at least for me. What do I know? There's some chicks there, and there's some dudes, so I'll stick with this side. And 1981, Bob Clark's inspired comedy smash Porky's looks back on those long-lost days when, to a teenage boy, sex was everything. Porky's follows the hilarious misadventures of 6 sex-starved youths. Can you imagine somebody saying that today? Even writing 6 sex-starved youths. The terrors of Angel Beach High School? Geez. They include Pee-wee, not Pee-wee Herman, who is determined to lose his virginity at any cost. Tony, who knows a secret spy hole. All right, I don't like where that's going. Anyways, there he is, Porky's. Now, I guess this was a hit because they have 2 more. Porky's 2 the next day, and I think Porky's 3 is Porky's Revenge. And Porky is the same guy who's in Better Off Dead as the asshole hamburger owner. All right, now we're getting another bite at the Walter Matthau. Walter Matthau was such a big star. Unlikely, but that's what talent gets you, right? Dinah Manoff, wasn't she in, there was a sitcom in the late 80s with, I think Christy McNichol was in that, and some other famous dude that I want to say McLean Stevenson, but that's not right, but somebody with the same energy. And the guy from those Isuzu commercials, I'm Joe Isuzu, right? That's where I know her from, I think. Anne Margaret, you know Anne Margaret, right? She does that weird dance, Elvis and all that stuff. Walter Matthau. I've never heard of this film. Neil Simon. I like Neil Simon, although we're about to do a review of Neil Simon's Chapter 2 on Laserdisc. We're finally going to get back to that. And man, was that a weird movie and a struggle to get through. And I'll discuss why then. Look at this. Want to know why this is in such good shape? Because you can't watch the movie. And it's even rewound. I think this guy bought this and couldn't get the movie open. Come on. Come on, just a little more. There. There. You are free. Now somebody can watch you. I mean, this is minty. You know, the glue is kind of leaving, but you know what I mean? That's nice. Whoops. All right, let's see what we're in for here. There's the back. There's the bottom. And is that even straight? Does anybody care? I don't know. That tripod's in a bad spot. All right, Neil Simon's heartwarming hit. Was this a hit? How come I've never heard of it? I thought I heard of most hits. Undeniably one of the most successful comedy writers of all time, Neil Simon unveils most of his remarkable talents in this heartwarming comedy. I Ought to Be in Pictures. I think I said You Ought to Be in Pictures because that's the song. I got that wrong. In a reprise of her Tony Award-winning role, Dinah Manoff stars as Libby Tucker, a spirited, confident 19-year-old New Yorker who travels to Hollywood to make her rightful place among the stars. Her ultimate goal is an acting career, but her ambitions shelter an ulterior motive. Her father, Herb Tucker, Walter Matthau, who she hasn't seen in 16 years, boy, this seems to be a recurring theme, resides in the film capital as a once successful writer who seems to be... You notice how Neil Simon's movies are always loosely based on Neil Simon. Look at this schnerd right here. Now what is, look at that, 137. Now that makes me think rental, right? But there's no way this was a rental. Was that guy's cataloging of his own movies? 137, so he knew? I don't know. We'll never know. Unless we can find whoever owned this. But how are you going to do that? His name's not on it. All right, we're getting down to the final two. This is a longer video, probably because I had that whatever. How do you like that explanation? The formula. George C. Scott. So now you can see when you see these older films like this, they're always the same guys. George C. Scott, Walter Matthau. You getting that yet? Marlon Brando. When he's not even on the cover? Who, what? The Formula. Let's see. Ooh, super fancy. Look at that. The Formula. George C. Scott. Adam Stiffel? Marlon Brando. Lisa Martha. Is that how you spell Martha? John Gielgud. Okay. So obviously something's happening here that's good. All right. You won me over and I don't even know what it's about. But when you have that kind of talent, boy, this thing needs some help. Didn't rewind. It's got to be the same guy. I don't see any cataloging on this one, though. So who knows? The Formula. So what, before we flip this over and look and see what the formula is, what is your guess? What could be the formula? Is it a fountain of youth? Is it about turning rocks into gold? What could the formula be? Is it about racing? Indy 500? I doubt that, but let's find out. Oh, there's the bottom too, in case you want to. Oh, see, look, there's a number on that. Were these rentals, or is this how this guy cataloged his movies? If that's how he cataloged his movies, there's a hope you could find his whole collection if you could just figure out where those were. Scott and Brando are a superb formula. Oh, I get that. That's cute. Boy, that's small. The Formula, a must-see for its powerful performances and for the question that it poses. Here we go. Are we being used as pawns in a diabolical global plot to maximize oil profits? I don't know. How can I be a pawn in oil profits? The Formula is a hard-hitting, suspenseful thriller based on Stephen Shoggin's best-selling novel. During World War II, Germany developed a method to derive cheap, pollution-free gasoline from coal. So this is a 70s energy crisis fantasy movie. But when the Third Reich collapsed, the formula disappeared. Now, after 35 years later, a lone LA detective is on the brink of unearthing the secret, which could change the course of world history. Okay, you got me. With the people you got in here and that little formula, despite the energy crisis hook, I will check that out. All right, and we made it to the end. And just by looking over here, look at that. Now, you see that on the shelf. You want to get that, right? There's even the retail flap on there. And I can see why. See that picture, you're going to be watching this a lot, right? So, whose life is it anyway? All right, so that's cute. Richard Dreyfuss, John Cassavetes, and a John Badham film. Whose life is it anyway? Christine Lottie, Bob Balaban. I know that name, Bob Balaban. Okay, so I guess Richard Dreyfuss stars in this, right? There's another guy that's all over the place during this time period. Now, tell me how Richard Dreyfuss was on the set. He was an asshole, right? Or at least an asshole to the guy who designed this cover. Look at that picture. If that isn't a giant FU to Richard Dreyfuss, then I don't even understand the world. Let's see. It's got another one of these nice things here. Yeah, John Cassavetes. I thought John Cassavetes was a director. Christine Lottie. I know that name. It's just not... Whatever. I'm not recognizing a lot of names in here. A lot of people, though, right? Everybody got a credit. That's nice. All right, well, whatever. Come on. There we go. Pretty great condition, right? Don't know what that is. Yep. All right. That fits in there snug, too. Boy, you know, I would like to cannibalize one of these, but this is so nice, I don't think I can. All right, what is this movie about? 328. Gosh, I'm thinking these must have been rentals, right? Who would archive their library like that? But I mean, there's just no signs. It was the worst rental store in the history of the world because these things are brand new looking. Just what the doctor ordered. Fascinating from beginning to end. Okay, so you read that and you're like, okay, we got to go see this. Back in that day, what was it? $1 to go see a movie? $1.50? Oscar winner Richard Dreyfuss is nothing short of magnificent, and whose life is it anyway? The stirring story of a brave spirit facing a tragic choice, with an equally strong performance by John Cassavetes. The two actors transform into controversial drama. Into a thrilling triumph experience. Unlike the stage version, okay, so here's a recurring theme. The film ranges far beyond the confines of the hospital room as it invokes one of our darkest modern-day dilemmas. What results is a film you won't soon forget, vibrant, deeply moving, and unexpectedly tense. Okay, so they've said nothing yet. Dreyfuss plays the young sculptor, oh boy, who survives an auto accident. Okay, that's not fun. Only to be permanently paralyzed. Okay, I'm going to stop reading. That sounds like a bummer, but maybe I'll watch that. So there you go. There's another movie I never heard of. Now we know it. Okay, this one ran a little long, probably double. I don't know why. I don't know what I did wrong, but that's the end of The Mystery Box 2. See you soon.